I am Jennifer Ocean Homestead, and this is my life. Come along with me and see videos and pictures of my journey so far, moving across the country and then moving again, and hopefully moving again, but to my very own private island where I can create a homestead and sustainable life in the middle of nowhere and live in peace. On my channel, I will be posting a variety of videos and pictures from the past and now, as well as new playlists for unboxing and hauls, canning and food preservation, gardening, building, cooking, day in the life, travel, collaborations, YouTube channels that I support, and random other things. Videos will be posted as I get them made, with at least one per week. The pics you see are a small waterfall in my yard at the new house. Weather pics are from the old house of my woods. And seeds starting from 2024. And the firewood I stacked myself when I got my very first wood stove in 2021. Fermenting cabbage, onions, and carrots. And there is myself with one of my rescues, Lord Grantham, and the baby of the family, Mahalo, who I found a few years ago as a baby kitten crying under my porch in the snow. Here are some sneak peeks that I will be posting in videos showing the move from Ontario to New Brunswick, and many people wanted to see the house and before and after pictures, the woods. The house came with 13 acres, mostly treed land, and also about 5 minutes from the ocean. So I think I got a great deal. I was under $50,000, which was the budget that I had to work with in order to be able to get a house. So I know I got a great deal, and I want to share that with you. So this here was a move that I had to make in the winter of 2020, and it was quite the nightmare because in order to cross the line, I guess, the imaginary line from the rest of Canada into New Brunswick, you had to have paperwork pre-approved, prove it's your main residence, your name on the deed. You couldn't have anybody with you unless they also were going to their main residence and could prove that they owned a house and it was their main residence. So you had to hire a moving company that could get the paperwork approved to even come into the province, and they were not allowed to stay. So they would have to drop you off, unpack, and immediately leave. They're not to spend the night in the province or anything. It was quite the nightmare, and I am so grateful that that was over and it all worked out, and I'm going to share that with you as well as some of these pictures. So obviously the scenery is outside, and then that door is the original door from 1912 and the original key. Unfortunately, it's not a good functional door to be using, so it has to be replaced. The front knob was not even there. It was broken off when I bought the house, and it auto locks. Ask me how I know. And so if you accidentally shut that door and you're outside, you can't get in. And I had to actually kick the door in to be able to get back in my house. And so unfortunately that door has to go, but it is a cute little piece. You know, it's from 1912. It has the original glass, and the original glass is still intact. So I only had to break us a little bit off the side of the door to open it. And then we have one of the trips from moving. I had 3 that I had to make back and forth, 3 full van loads or moving van loads. And then also I had 2 more loads come that I did not have to make the trip to get, so that was nice. And then you can see there is a picture with my dog in the snow. She's no longer with us, and that was to show you the rental house I had in the city. and that is my front lawn. A tiny little patch of grass right by the sidewalk. I mean, the house, it's house to house. Everyone sees in your windows, even in the back of your house. If you go outside, there's about 7 houses and their windows are all looking in your backyard. There's no privacy. It's a creepy feeling actually. My driveway has my neighbor's house built literally on the property line. There's not even an inch of space. And her bathroom window is right in my driveway. So this is a huge difference. And I'm extremely grateful and appreciative that I was able to do this and take up this opportunity when it came to me. And it was a huge, massive risk because I did not have a vehicle. I did not know anyone here. I'd never even been to this province. I had to buy the house the day it went up for sale, as is. I didn't get to see it, no inspections. I knew I got a good deal though. It was under 50,000, 13 acres of land, 5 minutes from the ocean. And I sometimes you just know. I knew I got a good deal. And I took that risk. I had next to no money with me, and I did not have any income at the time. So no car, pretty much hardly any money, and I didn't know anyone, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere in the country. So it was quite the risk, but I just knew it would work out. And for the most part, it did. But I went through a lot of sacrificing and suffering, and it was a fairly miserable last 5 years, but I knew that the end result would be worth it. So I'm not going to say that it was, oh, so great and wonderful, because it was not. But I believe that going forward, it will be worth it. So being able to live the way I'm living now, hopefully will be worth all the sacrifices that I had to make just to be able to get to where I am now, which I will be sharing with you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I really did need that canning jar ring. You're such a good boy. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I need that canning ring while I sit on the porch. That's so very special. Thank you.
Here are some pics from upcoming videos showing the drive from Ontario to New Brunswick, and it was about 18 to 30 hours. It's typically about 18 hours if it's nonstop, but with random stops for gas or to use the bathroom, and if you need a hotel, sometimes, many times actually, I had to stop and get a hotel because it's just too much in the wintertime with bad roads. You have to drive slower and it takes longer to get there. So that right there in the red coat all curled up, nice and warm and toasty, that is Dallas J. That was my dog. And she is on the floor on her puppy bed right by my feet where she likes to be. And in these pictures, on the bottom left, that is the backyard at the rental house. If you look close, you can see the fence in the back, and it just shows you how little space there was. And then on the bottom right, there is Masita and Fizzle, and you can see the houses in the window in the backyard. They are house to house to house, and there's next to no space for a backyard, no privacy at all, and that is only 3 houses. There on the other side, there's more. Then on the right and left of the house, there's houses. And so it's very creepy, and I never felt comfortable. I'm not a city person. I don't like it. So those pictures just give you an idea of where it came from. And I rented that house for 7 years. I had the cheapest rent. And so it was just not very pleasant and it was not enjoyable. And so above that picture is the driveway. And you can see there's not much space. So when I took the picture, that was pretty much like where the house is. And then you see the sidewalk. And then the edge of the driveway, the neighbor's property starts right at the edge of the driveway. And her house is literally built on the edge of the driveway right behind the picture, and that's her front lawn. It's probably, I don't know, maybe like 8, 10 feet by maybe like 12 feet. So there's no space to really do much anything. There's no privacy. And it's just horrible. It's not for me. Some people enjoy that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it was a nightmare, and I just did not like it at all. I never felt comfortable. And then there's a dark picture. That is the best picture I had of the sea can. I had a sea can put in my driveway, and that is where I stored things as I pack them. So it'd be a lot easier to move, and everything would be outside, in locked up, but it would all be organized and ready to go. So there is a picture right above that on the right, second from the top. That is Dallas and one of her kitties in the upstairs bedroom window. So even out my bedroom window, there's a huge building right down the road, and all of the houses from there to my house is house to house to house. And it was such a big, huge, beautiful window. It was on the second story. So I did have a nice view of the sky, and it's really nice for storms. But again, there's just so many people's windows looking in your windows, and that's just not for me. So I was happy to get out of this house as soon as I could, and I got a bunch of, I bought as many as I could afford of these big dog cages, and I tried to make the move as comfortable and peaceful and enjoyable for my rescues as I could. And my dog raised all of these ones. These are the rescues that did not get adopted by the time I moved. I spent like 15 years helping homeless animals find homes, but people only want like little kittens and, they cute ones. They don't want the older animals that maybe are seniors or the ones with health issues. And so, and I don't have the heart to put them back on the street. That's horrible. And so my dog just loved everything. These were her babies. So, it all worked out great. And so I just made a promise to myself that if things work out, I will make sure nobody is left behind and nobody gets put back out on the street. And so I worked really hard to make sure that every single one of them got moved and in the most peaceful and enjoyable way. And they got to experience home ownership, and all these little kitties that were on the street and suffering now became country estate owners. And the house that I first moved to had like, I don't remember, like 20 or 30 something windows, and just it was just a dream come true for them. So it all worked out great. And even though it was a very long trip, and it was hard for them because they had to spend like 2 days in a cage. They had to be in their cage the day before to make sure that they were in their cage and settled and no one got left behind. So here is what the inside of the pod or sea can looked like when I first started. So my goal with this was to have a place to organize things that I was for sure bringing, which was almost everything. And so I started out being able to get things sorted and organized and stacked, and then as it got full, then I actually was able to have it taken to the lot where I rented it from, and they store it there. And then I had another one come, and I did the same thing. I used one side to sort, and as I started packing things, and then I jam packed it all fully packed and loaded. And then that way, the things that I was not able to move in the trips where I went, then the person that I was paying to help move my things could just go to the lot where I rent the pod with the key, and they can just go in and load the moving van right from there and not have to be on that time crunch with moving out of the rental and what do I do with all the stuff that I can't move yet. So this was a great option. And so I just give you an idea. This was 2020. So this was the fall in 2020, and you know what that was like. And so I, keep in mind, did not have a vehicle. I could not afford one at the time. With almost all my money going towards rent, it made it very difficult. The money is just not there. So I was moving across the country where I didn't know anyone. I had next to no money, and I was moving in the country where there's pretty much nothing. And so I needed to make sure that I bring everything I possibly could. So you'll see there's just food, there's clothes. I've got first aid kits. Those two pictures at the top is just showing some of the first aid kits I was able to get. And Canadian Tire, I love their sales. And so one of the things that I purchased, it was like 45% off, was this dolly that it's a convertible dolly, and it's a Costco brand. And it was $129. That was the sale price. That was an amazing deal because to this day, I use that on a regular basis. This cart for the last 5 years, I have put it through so much wear and tear, and that poor thing is still going as if nothing happened. I've been hauling firewood, like crazy heavy loads of firewood, so many things. I've used that in both my moving trips already because I've moved again. And so I highly recommend that. I do know there's a newer model now, so I don't know if it's just as good, but it converts into what they call a fridge cart, and you can put it straight down on the ground if you want, and you can also pull the handle up so it's actually like a cart that you can push. It is amazing. I love that thing. So that I definitely am so happy that I bought and got so much use out of. But then I also got, they had an extension cord on sale for, I don't know, almost everything I bought. I was like 50 or 60 something percent off. I try to shop sales when I have the money. I look at what is a really good price on sale that I need or I know I'm going to need. And then that's what I purchase. I try very hard not to pay regular price for anything unless I have to. So I made sure I got some extension cords and I got some pruning shears. That censored light is amazing. I got that also, I believe it was Canadian Tire, and it is extremely bright. It works so well. It's at the other house though, but I absolutely highly recommend that particular light. I had no problems with it. It's excellent. And then there's just some random things. So I had, a shopping cart full of pet food. My dog, I'm extremely particular, so her food's not in there. But for my rescues, for my cats, I try to get them the healthiest quality food that I can. But also, I'm on a budget. So what was on sale? What did I have coupons for? And that's what I stocked up on because it's better than nothing. So, may not have been like the best that I wanted, but I tried to get them the healthiest. So, I did bring a good stock of cat food. And then, I brought, what do I have in there? A surge protector. I've got wallpaper stripper. Let me tell you, that house had old wallpaper that was put up with glue. So I got the scrapers for wallpaper and blades and all kinds of stuff. And then also food. I tried to stock up as much as I could. And so there is a picture at the top of a U-Haul truck. No, that is not what I moved in. So I had to make several trips in what I could get because of the time. It was the winter of 2020 when I made the first trip, and there was restrictions. So anyways, that U-Haul truck that you see was the last trip of stuff, and I was not there. So the person that was helping me move for, oh gosh, I did 3 trips, and that was, no, I did 5 trips because you had to go there and back and there and back and there. And so the person helping me, they went into my pod, and when they were coming out here anyways, delivering things to other people, they rented that little trailer from U-Haul, and they went to my sea can and they filled it with as much as they could. So that was just one of the extra trips to get the rest of my things moved. And then the sweet little kitty, that is Lifty. She always wanted a lift when she was a baby. She'd go halfway down the stairs and then cry. She wants me to pick her up and give her a lift. She just always wants you to pick her up. So that's her with her little blankie all curled up, and she was licking her blankie and giving it kisses. And then this sea can, coolest thing, because I have not seen another company do this. So this company, how they move that sea can is they have this machine on wheels, and it's controlled by a remote control. And so it goes to the front and it hooks into the bottom and it lifts it up from the front. But he has these single wheels that you can go to the back using a remote control, and it's just a single wheel and it goes to the back, and then you had one on the other side that goes to the back, and then they turn sideways until they're level with the back, and they hook in the bottom part of the back of the sea can, and then all the front and the back wheels, they lift it all up at the same time, and then he just drives it down the driveway. And this thing is jam-packed, extremely heavy. I had never seen anything like that, so I thought it was interesting. And you can also see my pink garbage can in the corner. I just love my garbage can. It's so pretty. So this here is just some of the many things that I brought with me that I just thought I would randomly share with you. And we made it. It is a long drive, especially in the wintertime. It makes it so much more stressful when you have country roads, often dirt roads. So this here is what the house is like when I first moved in. So the first picture at the top corner is the house, how it looked like when I first got it. And then when the snow started to melt a bit, I was able to get a better picture in the front. And this was built in 1912, and one side does have siding, but the rest of the house has the original wooden siding with paint. And it's probably the same paint because they didn't do anything in this house, inside or outside. No porch, not even a step. You had to jump to get in the door. Anyways, you couldn't use the front doors. You had to use the back one. And then I started building the deck in the front and getting some work done when the snow melted, which was nice. And I will be posting videos of all of that. And you can see my dog. She was having the time of her life, having this big, huge driveway. And it's just so peaceful and so nice. And we did have to have the tractor come. I had to pay the neighbor with the tractor to plow the driveway. And then on the left side are the apple trees. There was, I believe, at least about 8 apple trees in the front lawn, which normally would be a blessing. However, they were pretty much dead and neglected for 50 years, and they were rotted on the inside, so every one of them had to come down, and the roots got pulled out, and there was other trees too. So the whole entire front lawn, I eventually in the summer had it all ripped out, and you'll see that whole process and what I did. And then there's just a few pictures of what the view is like out the window. And this is the back of the property. And it actually was a trail that used to be clear because the guy that owned the house had a sawmill, and they used to dump the sawdust in the backwoods. And so it used to be a cleared path, and the trucks would drive down in the middle. You can kind of see where it looks a little bit clear, but it's a bit overgrown. And they would just go all the way down there and dump. So there's about 30 to 50 or more years worth of sawdust piling up in there. You can imagine how soft that soil is, but it's also extremely rich and healthy soil with so many decades of leaves composting in there. So I have extremely rich soil in those woods, which is really nice. I just have never had the resources or anything to get down in there to do anything with. So it's been neglected the whole time I've had it too. Not by choice though, it's just how it is. So just a few pictures of what it was like when I first got there. And then my cats that were all raised by rescues by my dog, they seem to think that they're also a dog and they like to eat her food, which is fine. So my cats actually eat normal food. They like scrambled eggs, hard-boiled eggs. They like cooked vegetables, oatmeal. They're like, they're just, they think they're a dog. And so there's a little picture of Dallas, a little frustrated, because the cat, LG, was eating her roasted vegetables, which is fine. She lets them, but she was so nice and she's so sweet that she waits and she lets them eat what they want, and then she'll go and finish her food. So there's my cat eating, I don't want to say dog food because it's people food, but his roasted vegetables, carrots, potatoes, and sometimes I put broccoli, oh, green beans. They just love it all. And there's a little sneak peek. Here are more pictures as a sneak peek to the upcoming videos that I will be posting. The top left corner is some of the kids when we first got to the first house. And yes, that is paneling. So the house, oh, it had pretty much no upgrading of anything since about the 60s, maybe. And the next picture to that is one of the trails in my woods, and is a very beautiful trail. That picture, not so beautiful, but with all of the leaves down because of the fall/winter weather, it makes it a lot easier to see. And then on the top right side, that was my attempt at gardening because the ground is mostly clay and rock and it would be a nightmare to till. So I tried to use containers for gardening and it actually worked out fairly well. It was just a ridiculous amount of work and I learned a whole lot from that, which I will be sharing with you in other videos. And underneath that, you have some of my cats who were overjoyed and happy as can be to have all these windows and there's birds. I'm surrounded by forest and there are so many chipmunks and birds and sounds, and they were just loving life. There was a groundhog, porcupine, there's so many different things, and deer. And then there's my sweet Dallas J, who I just love so much and I miss. And then there was just a picture of me because I found a sparkle thing on my phone. I thought, ooh, you can do sparkles on your phone. And LG was loving his toy box, or toy basket, sorry. I washed all their toys before I brought them and then put them in a big basket. And they love picking out their toys. Unfortunately, they do not put them away. I have to put them away. But they like to pick out their toys. And they love their little kitty beds and their little toy room. And so they're very happy. Lots and lots of windows, lots of natural light, and no house in sight except next door, but that house was vacant. The people never moved in for years. And that's fine. No neighbors are good neighbors. And then we have the random mushrooms. These, 1 year, it only happened 1 year, and they randomly just grew in this one spot, and they were taller than my dog, and they were beautiful. I have never seen them before, and I just thought it was fun. It was pretty cool to look at them, and I don't know, I didn't eat them and I didn't touch them, and I made sure my dog did not touch them, but I just thought they were cute. I've never seen that before. And a little sneak peek of one of the builds that I did. Well, there's several right there. There's the deck, and then the start of the framing of the addition, and then you can also kind of see the big deck on the front, and I built a ramp. I have many reasons not to build stairs. I do not understand why people use stairs. I always build a ramp. It will save you so much work in the long run. And then we have Lord Grantham, who, I don't know, he just loves the camera. And that is these pictures for this sneak peek. And these are some more pictures from upcoming videos that I will be posting later. And I'm going to show you a few things that I love. The top left is a structure that I designed. I came from the city and I did not have anyone to teach me anything. School definitely did not teach me anything that's useful. I didn't know how to use a drill. I didn't know what kind of wood a 2x4 is made out of. I did not even know what a 2x4 meant. I was never taught anything. And so the first few years were horrible. I had to lug firewood by hand and I had to shovel the snow to the firewood pile where it was dumped when I bought the firewood. And all winter long, in these harsh winters, having to constantly shovel, and that includes at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I would have to shovel because if you don't keep up with the shoveling as it's snowing, it'll get too much of a buildup that I can't lift. And it was just a nightmare for 7 months out of the year, every year. I hardly got any sleep, and it was just something that I don't ever want to have to deal with again. So when I was able to get some money together and pay the neighbor to help me, I designed something off the back of the house. So off the back of the door, on the one side is a 16 by 12 woodshed, and then a 16 by 12 greenhouse. And in the middle, I call it the hallway. I have clear octagon tough tacks. So it's a covered hallway, but you get all the light in, but you don't get rain or snow. No more shoveling. And I have a ramp that I had put on there so you can load up a cart of firewood and just push it right up into the house. So much more convenient. And so that is a build that I will be showing you. And then next to that is the back part of my property. So I actually have a driveway off of the side road that goes to the back of the property. And I walked out there one day. It was a long walk. I just wanted to explore my property, and it was very exciting. And then we have little Mahalo, and she was just a baby kitten after I found her outside crying in the snow under my porch, just randomly out of nowhere. I'd never even seen a stray cat around this house. I don't know where she came from. And my dog actually had to go and rescue her. She was too scared to come to me, so I sent my dog. And my dog got her to come out, and we got her in a cage, brought her in the house. So that's her. And then next to that is showing you some of the building process that I went through to build the addition on the front, which desperately needed. So the deck itself came out 16 feet, and I think it's like 20 to 30 feet wide, plus the deck that the addition was built on, and then I have the ramp that I built. So that's another project I'll be showing you. And then on the bottom right corner, that was when I was putting the framing together for the greenhouse and the woodshed. And then my very first time growing sunflowers was 2024. I wanted to experiment. I've never grown them before, and I was amazed for several reasons. And then this here next to the sunflower is an old-fashioned thermostat that came with the house. There is nothing upgraded in this house. Oh my goodness. And so that was the thermostat that I had for the electric old ancient furnace in the crawl space. And then we have LG sunbathing, feeling good, showing you his muscle. And when he fell asleep, I could see his teeth, and I thought they were just the cutest little kitty teeth. So I took a picture. I just thought it was cute to see his little front teeth. So I took a picture of his smile when he was sleeping. And then there's a little picture of a seed haul that one is from a seed company in Ukraine. They had excellent prices, so I got varieties that I didn't have that I couldn't find here. they're no longer shipping outside of Ukraine anymore, but I tried as much as I can to just get seeds like locally from companies out here. But sometimes there's varieties that I just can't find, and they had some really good varieties, a lot I've never heard of. And then we have the dump truck with the manure issue. That will be another video. So that's just a few more, and then I will show you some more exciting things to come.